Welcome to another episode of Five Lemons Laughing. I'm Amanda. I'm here with Penny and Morgan. Drusilla and Melissa are off living their lives. If you heard that in the background, it's time to start our podcast. My alarm went off.
Didn't hear it.
We didn't hear
Okay. So let's just jump into it. Why does it feel so satisfying when something happens that proves us right? Why do we celebrate someone else's mistake or failure? Why does I've been thinking about this a lot, I find myself celebrating when someone else's fails, when someone else gets in trouble. And I don't mean the little things, I mean the bigger things. A political leader that I disagree with, an idea that I never believed in, like celebrating when I'm proved right. Why does their struggle seem strangely validating to me? So today, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the pleasure of being right and whether holding tightly to our opinions costs us something that we value even more.
Interesting. Great topic, Amanda. Yeah. So we as humans don't just experience the bliss of life. We are constantly interpreting it. And as a result, we're creating stories as we go through our day about right and wrong, what's fair, what's unfair, what's broken, how things should be if they were done the right way. Mm-hmm. And once we have these stories going, we do this whole confirmation bias thing. We start looking for evidence that supports that we're right. You can even see it in the way that you word your Google searches. If you've made up your mind that vaccines are bad for you, then you're going to search, why are vaccines bad for me? You know what I mean? Like,
ouch, that hit home.
Yeah. So it's something about it is comforting and makes us feel safe, makes us feel certain. I guess it's a form of like trying to control. I don't know. Mm-hmm. And so when we find that life confirms what we already believe, then it can feel so satisfying. But here's the hard question that we are going to dive into today. If my peace depends on proving someone else is wrong, then am I really free? Is that really supporting me and my freedom? So, or have I tied my happiness to a battle that, can never really truly be won? So when did rooting for someone else's failure become easier than rooting for their success? Ladies.
Oh my goodness. This is such a good, interesting, thought-provoking topic. And I just want to start with the way that it came up was yesterday, Penny and I were having a conversation, and I was just watching something on TV, and it was about the reflecting pool. And it seems like when the news talks about like the algae or the pumps, I mean, they seem excited about it, right? Like, people it's just crazy. And it drives.
Can I interrupt you for a second, yeah. Amanda? For someone who's not watching the news, is there more to the story, the reflecting pool, that you could share a little bit of background about? Just brief.
Yeah, I thought for sure everyone on the planet would know about this, but I didn't do that.
Well, perhaps they're listening to it 2 years from now. So.
Okay, all right. So
I like that.
Thank you. There is this huge pond in between the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial, and it reflects the Washington Monument. I guess it would reflect the Lincoln Memorial. Anyway,
it's the Lincoln Memorial Reflecting Pool is what it's called. Yeah.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it was just redone. It was revitalized. And I saw so many pictures right when it did it. It was beautiful. Like you could see the Washington Monument, lots of pictures of the Washington Monument on it. And then it started with lots of algae in it. And people were celebrating the failure, not failure, it's just algae growing. So failure is a little bit of dramatic, right? But people were celebrating that it wasn't beautiful anymore. And I'm like, why would people be doing that, right? This is, in our capital, this is a beautiful place. Lots of tourists are walking around. Why would we as a country be celebrating the ugliness of something instead of the beauty? So that's what brought it up.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting.
So interesting. Yeah.
Well, it brings up a lot about, I think for me, this whole reflecting pool debacle, what it brings up for me and why I am slightly happy.
Are you celebrating the failure of the reflecting pool?
Well, I'm not celebrating it. I guess I'm more, okay, so.
Speak the truth, Penny.
Yeah, well, I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
And mainly because, wow, that's okay. So why am I so dang happy? Well, number one, there are a lot of things that are happening in our country right now that I don't agree with, that I think are being, I think that, there's so much victimhood in the world right now. And when, if we're taking 100% responsibility for 100% of our results, all I needed to hear from somebody that was in charge of this is, wow, did I make a fucked up mistake? And that wasn't the right way to go. But no, that's not what we're getting. We're getting, oh, somebody came in and did a 350-foot cut in the pool. Not possible. But anyway, so I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole, but the point is that if responsibility had been taken, that maybe their route hadn't been the right route, then maybe I wouldn't be so happy that it's failing. I'd be, oh, wow. Okay. As a coach, I go in, I create, I help my clients create a plan, and then they go out and they practice it, right? And then we come back and take a look at the results. And then we go, okay, that worked or that didn't work. Let's create a new plan and go again. And I'm not seeing any of that with the administration right now. And I think that's why I'm happy, because maybe they will someday take responsibility for their whatever's happening. And also another thing that I'm going to go off on one other slight tangent. I realize that my happiness should not be attached to whether he has wins or failures, because then I'm setting myself up for failure. And another route that we could go is when I focus on the negative, I'm going to get more negative. Mm-hmm. So I want to focus, in A Course in Miracles, 100% responsibility for 100% of our results. What I focus on continues to bloom and flourish. So of course, I recognize the flaws in my thinking, that I really want to be happy. I don't want to be right. Mostly. I still am a human being. But yeah, so that's where I'm coming from. I mean, I don't want to celebrate anybody's failure, but sometimes I do feel vindicated.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
To me, it's like, this is a really great topic, because this is the kind of stuff that it can just go unchecked. And
exactly.
Yeah. And like, it's confronting, and it's meant to be confronting, because otherwise we just let the ego continue to have a hall pass for this one little exception that we're not willing to examine and hold ourselves accountable to, and hold ourselves to that higher standard. So I think it's a really interesting topic, because Penny, when I hear you talk, like, I know that, well, no, I don't know this, but I believe that if this was a person in your life that you loved and cared about, who just kept making mistakes and kept making mistakes, you might bring them to our small group and ask for us to support them in prayer and things like that. But I don't think you'd be grading their paper. I don't think you'd be like keeping track of their failures. And so it's just interesting. Like, we have these little areas in our life where we make it the exception to our practice, and we don't hold ourselves to our own spiritual standard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but doesn't it depend on how it impacts us too, though?
Should it?
Say more about that.
So, okay, let me think of an example. Well, let's just say that, okay, let's say we have an employee, they're given a task, and the task is fairly complicated, and they walk into it and they do the task poorly. I mean, we have it's clearly written out. This is what we want to have as the end result. And yeah, there's been some changes through we take the information as it comes along. That's not a very good example because what's a good example? Well, okay, let's say we give our child some money and we say, okay, this is the amount of money you get. You can, maybe it's the prodigal son. Maybe we're going right to that. I don't know, Morgan.
I am completely lost, you guys. How does this?
You just pulled a couple of threads, but didn't really.
I couldn't complete them. Well, it's because this is a freaking hard subject, I guess.
It really is. Let's go back to I just got lost in the sauce. So let's get back to why were you happy when the reflecting pool started to fail? You had mentioned, Penny, and not to pick on you, but
that's fine.
You and I had the conversation.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So what I heard you say originally when I asked this question was, I didn't like the person that was responsible for starting this project. I don't like them. So,
it's not that I don't like him. I just don't like the decisions he's making for the country and what he's putting the country, I know he's trying to shake it up and make it different and change the world. But I think he's getting bad information from people.
Right.
I don't agree with what he's doing. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that that's a difference, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like him or I don't like his, what's being done. So, so since we don't like something, we are celebrating that person's failure because we don't like them. Right. And this is the general
mm-hmm.
thing, or don't like his decisions. And then something else that I heard you say was, when it failed, I needed him to respond in a certain way.
Okay. Yep. I had expectations.
Yeah. So, and that was another reason that justified the celebration of the failure of the reflecting pool, right? So it was this person's behavior, my expectations that I put upon this person, right? These are all reasons that we root for someone's failure.
You know what it's reminding me of? Oh, I'm sorry, Penny, go ahead.
Well, I don't think I'm rooting for his failure. I'd rather for him to succeed, honestly.
Really? I mean, really?
Really? I think that, yes, honestly.
Would you recognize, so can you, say anything good, right? So this is just a challenge what you just said. Is anything that's happening, are you rooting for it? Are you rooting for any success that has happened?
That's a really good question, Amanda.
Right?
Yeah.
And sorry to put you on the spot, but this is
okay. It's
I can
okay.
talk about something if you want.
Morgan, help me.
I'll bring something up.
I need help, Morgan. It is hard for me to find something that I agree with. Absolutely. I'll just be honest.
Yeah. That's what we're here for. It's just to show who we really are so it can help other people grow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what I'm pulling from this conversation is it's basically what we're doing when we're caught in this loop is we're rooting for someone's karmic due, karma will take care of him. It's almost like we are happy that, they're getting their karma. It's what I'm seeing.
I've said that before.
Totally.
Karma's
We've
gonna
all
take
said
care of
that.
that. Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
When I went from I'm going to get it back to being spiritual, oh, karma's going to take care of that, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And what what we mostly experience is that we'll keep repeating the same lessons until they're learned. So we keep what we keep thinking that we're seeing is this administration failing at something and then shoving the responsibility off on someone else, not taking the responsibility. So maybe what's going to happen is opportunities to take responsibility, aka failures, are going to keep happening until this administration learns to take responsibility. Will that happen in our lifetime? Who knows? It's not my business. But on the opposite end of that spectrum, I also will keep getting served up the same lesson of maybe keeping our eyes on our own paper and focusing on
Yeah.
our own stuff instead of on, I don't know, like you might have to keep working this particular forgiveness practice too, of watching this administration
Mm-hmm.
apparently
Mm-hmm.
fail time and time again
Mm-hmm.
until it can happen and you not have such a strong emotional
Exactly.
response to it.
That is so true, Morgan. And that's what I've been working on for the last how many minutes he's been in office. Seriously, though, yeah, it is. It's my responsibility to take care of what's on my plate and what's in front of me. And, what's happening. It's just all, yeah, it's all a projection from my mind, right? And so when I clean up what's going on in my mind, then like when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. And I've had many experiences of that. And I'm not sure why it's so hard for me
Yeah.
to change the way I'm looking at this, but it is really hard.
It
Yeah.
is. It does seem
Yeah.
very hard. And it is just, the ego can manufacture endless ways to keep us stuck in duality. And politics, right and wrong, left and right,
Yeah.
is a very, very tantalizing one to grasp onto.
And right in our
and it just
face.
keeps us stuck in duality. Yeah. As hard as it is, we can't make it the exception to the rule, or we'll just keep on the hamster wheel.
Well, let me bring up another example. And this is my example. So
Okay.
we're going to switch off of you, Penny.
Thank God.
Yeah. We are all human.
Yes.
So here's something that I've noticed. I've talked about it. I touched on it a little bit when I was talking about getting scammed. And when I got scammed on
horses,
my horse thing. Yeah. That I've been watching the news and celebrating when people are getting caught stealing from the government, right? So I have been so all of the fraud, like in Medicare and all of this stuff is starting to come out now, right? Like people cheating the system, like driving fancy cars. And the latest one this morning, I'm still doing it. I don't know what that says about me when I was talking about this a while ago. But the latest one was someone, a methadone clinic, right, was falsifying records, saying that they did more counseling and stuff. And the person in charge was, getting all of this money. And I'm like, oh, yay, another fraudster down, right? And what I'm realizing is that my pattern, my thinking has been the government is broken, right? The government cannot control their funds. That's just like if you want something to fail, you give it to a government agency. I've always thought that way. I don't know where that came from in my mind, but that was somewhere down right. And the government overspends, blah blah blah. Like the $500 hammer or toilet seat, whatever, from a long time ago. So, and now it's all coming to light. I'm celebrating people getting punished, and what So yeah, that is another aspect of this. I'm celebrating that. And that really is showing something in me. I'm rooting for punishment. And I'm excited because what I thought is being seen in reality.
How does it feel to acknowledge that?
Well, I'm excited because what I believe is being shown, right? So
so you're vindicated again.
I'm vindicated again. But
Yeah.
why do I need that vindication? Like, why am I following that so closely? Right. Like, so, instead of changing my thing, I don't even know what to do with that. Like,
I'm glad you brought that up because it's illuminating for me that like I am really attached to the story that the government is corrupt and the government is poisoning us and they, are not out for the American people. They're bought and sold by billionaires and they, all of this story, which, how law of attraction works and what Abraham Hicks teaches. Like, would I like to continue to experience that? Or would I like to experience that the government is looking out for us and the government is taking care of us and things are equitable and fair? And so why would I continue to tell the story of what a shitty government that we have? But, that's what I've been doing. Gosh, we have so many blind spots. This podcast really helps us to not hide behind our blind spots. Like, we have to really look at this shit.
Do you think I just went too broad? Should we take it down to something more personal?
Oh, that's kind of personal.
Yeah.
Well, now once we recognize that we're doing this, what do we do about it?
That's exactly where I was going. Like, what do we do about it? Shut off our TVs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop reading the newspapers. Stop listening to podcasts. Except ones about that are spiritual in nature.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I should probably a political podcast. Maybe that's what I meant to say.
Yeah. I mean, I think we could start. I mean, the universe works much like a social media algorithm. Like, we could just start looking for evidence of things that we would like to see and just really, I mean, gosh, we dance around this so much and I ping pong back and forth from one answer to the other, but it may come across as like having your head in the sand, but I think we pull our attention away from what we don't want to energize. I really think that's the answer. But then it's like, I don't know, put your attention on what you would like.
Yeah. So thank you for saying that, Morgan, because in my example, instead of looking for, because now my YouTube pulls up all the examples of fraud, right?
Yeah.
Because I click on it. Mm-hmm. But so in your example, if I turned my attention to what was working, so I'm going to have to go search, right? To start the algorithm, right? I'm going to have to go find at least one story of, in my example, a government program that's working and not failing, right? That's what I would have.
Yeah. I think I mentioned it in a previous recording that we did that there was this newscaster, Darren Kagan. She worked for CNN. She got fired, I guess, because she was starting to look old. And, that is a whole nother story. And so she started the positive news, and her whole, because she realized how for the many, many years that she was in CNN, that all the news focuses on the negative, or a lot of it does. There's very few stories, maybe if there was, 10 stories for the night, maybe one or a half of one might be about something positive that's happened. Everything else is about negative. And so I always just thought of that, like, that is like brilliant. Let's focus on the positive. There's a lot of really good stuff going on in our nation's capital. There is. We just don't get to hear about it because all the other noise is drowning it out. And so, yeah, I like that, Amanda, that we just start focusing, building our algorithm, like you talked about, Morgan, to something more positive. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so Morgan, you brought up a really good point. So like without sticking my head in the sand, right? Like we're not doing something. So can I still search out the positive and work towards ending corruption, right? Just for a broad sense of just with broad strokes. Like, can I do that? Can I go find the positive news about the government working correctly? And for me, it would have, because I always come back to what I can do. So it would have to be like, is there anywhere in my life? I'm not stealing, right? I don't do that, right? But is there anywhere in my life where I'm not living with integrity, where I'm being stingy, where I'm like, I want to, like, I really want to buy a new set of sheets. Well, that, right? But they're really expensive, and the nice ones, right? And I want to buy American made and American grown cotton and all of that stuff. And it's so expensive. And I'm waiting for them to go on sale. So am I being chintzy, right? When so is that a reflection? Is that a tiny reflection of the whole? That might be too extreme, right? But do you see where I'm saying? Could someone state that a little differently?
Well, what I was thinking about is how, like, going back to my example of how, the government is run by billionaires instead of being for the people. But like, how many of us are always looking out for our people, like those in our immediate circle, perhaps to the exclusion, unintentionally or intentionally, of the rest of the world,
Well, Amanda, I think you're being fiscally responsible.
Right.
That's what I think you're being. And there's no problem waiting for the sale to buy the sheets. And you can probably Google, when does linen usually go on sale?
Well, I'm assuming that there'll be July 4th sales, right? Because it's an American company, right? So
yeah.
Wait a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't think there's anything wrong with what you're doing. I mean, you have a certain amount of funds that you want to spend, and that's nothing wrong with that. And
thank you, Penny.
Yeah. Yes. Just come to me if you ever need to know. I know nothing. I don't know what anything is for. Maybe you're supposed to spend the big bucks and help that company because they're just on the brink of breaking through how to raise cotton less expensive, and they just need a little bit more money to make that research happen. We just don't know, right? I mean, right. I'm just taking it to we don't know. So it just comes down to trusting your inner guidance and making sure that it's Holy Spirit versus the ego.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just bringing it back to
Thank you for bringing us back on topic.
I just had a random thought, bringing it back to the Trump administration. Could we find it in our hearts to root for his success? And try this on. What if we assumed that he actually, despite his perhaps failed attempts and failed logic, but what if we assumed that in his heart of hearts, he really did want to leave the country and the world a better place than he found it?
Yeah.
What if we operated from that assumption?
Yeah.
Even if his methods may be upside down or totally backwards or totally wrong, in our opinion.
Yeah. It's funny, Morgan, like you had to justify that a lot to actually speak those words. It was hilarious to watch you go through that. All right, if I'm going to speak these words, they have to feel completely true to me. So I'm going to
qualify them.
Like how many qualifiers to get to that one statement.
Yeah. Yeah. But that is sort of how we're asked to move through life and to hold our brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
You know,
To get to that final statement, right? Whatever. Yeah. I think I've said this before, maybe lots of years ago, but if we were to actually look through all of the bullshit into the core of every person that we come in contact, I believe that would, to see the innocence in the people, to look past all of the actions, all of the whatever perceived wrong decisions that we think that they make, and look to who they are in the collective. I think that is radical transformation.
Well, a lot of the work that I've done is to go to the essence of the person, that see them as that little 3 or 4-year-old, that very innocent little child, that before they were, all the layers of the shit were caked on. Yeah. If we could just see them as that every time, that would make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would make a difference for us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And maybe for them too.
Yeah, absolutely for them. But it would start with us, because we would, in the intro, Morgan said something about peace, right? Does my perceived peace come from making them wrong, or does my peace come from inner? She didn't say all that, but that's kind of what I'm getting, right? She talked about peace and making other people wrong, or
we metaphysically speaking, like, we are scapegoating people like Donald Trump. We are projecting all the ick of the ego outside of us and putting it on someone like him. So we get to be this innocent victim, martyr, whatever. And all the ugliness gets projected outside of us. But I mean, this is, like I said, getting into like the metaphysics of it. And it's very convincing that there is this apparent other.
Yeah. I think it's like we get to be better than, right? Yeah. Like, for me to feel better, someone has to be below me, worse than me, right? When the ego starts talking, our society. So looking for, making somebody less than us.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, in this world operating system, actions have consequences, and it just is that way. And if we go through life minding our business and seeing that, someone effed up at Penny's firm, her company, and they got fired. There's no emotion in it. They're not a bad person for it. They had an action. They faced a consequence, and none of it has to have an emotional charge, and none of it has to mean anything. Like, if we could just take that energy of like that approach with these seemingly bigger figureheads, then it would just, we just somehow need to let the emotional charge out of it. Like it just is happening. Actions are happening, consequences follow. And, what has to do with them has to do with them. What has to do with us has to do with us. And I don't need to be happy or sad or celebrating or sorrowful when any of it happens. It just is.
Gosh, that just makes me. Go ahead. Acceptance? Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 I was just going to say, except when it has consequences on me, because there are consequences that flow from other people's decisions to what happens with us. So I don't know. It has to begin with me. It does. It has to begin with me on keeping my inner world cleaned up, I guess. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And what I know for myself, I haven't necessarily been diligent about this by any means, but if I'm finding glee in someone else getting their just desserts or whatever that Southern saying is, then there's work in there for me to do. There's forgiveness in there for me to do.
Yeah. Well,
I can't wait to hear your post-its, Penny.
I'm not sure if I have much here today. I don't know. I guess I'm going to just write this last one. Yeah. Okay. So big topic, ladies.
Confronting.
Very confronting. Yeah. So now, yeah. So I think the bottom line for all of this is we can have our ways of responding to situations that are occurring in the world. And we get to decide. You were just summing it up, Morgan. We get to decide, is it just neutral, which is the key, acceptance, or are we going to blow it up into something else? So the first thing that we really talked about is let's look for the things that are working and let's look for what is positive versus always looking for the negative. So I'm sure there are some positive things going on. I'm going to go out and look for them with this administration because it must begin with me, right? Let it begin with me. It's got to begin with me. And I'm going to be a poet and rhyme because forgiveness is the key. Let it begin with me, right? So that's the post-its that I got. This is a kind of a confronting subject, like you were saying, Morgan. It's yeah. So I'm not even sure how to summarize this episode because it's just started to we are human beings having this experience in this world, and everything that's happening is happening for our greatest good. And sometimes that's really hard to see unless we can, that's so funny. I just put my hand up like this and I don't know if anybody's watching us. You saw the little thing come up. It distracted me, but let's focus on the positive as much as we can. Yeah, there's things that are going on in this world that we may or may not agree with. And what we put our attention on expands. So we can put our attention on what's going wrong in the world, or we can put our attention on what's positive. And so it can be a challenge. And so let's just go out and do our best and keep our eyes on our own plate and not be so worried about what's happening on everybody else's. And that is a big order in this day. Yeah. So I don't know. This one was a hard one for me to summarize today.
Well, and we don't have to know what to do about it or how to change. Awareness is curative, and it can be something as simple as like, this is confronting and I'm willing to do it differently. Yeah. I don't know how to do it differently. I don't know what exactly to do differently, but I'm willing.
Yeah.
And just
like
start with that.
The little light bulb, like when we start, now that we've talked about it and you've heard about it, when you start celebrating somebody else's demise, a little light bulb will go off. And that's a little breath to let, like Morgan was saying, just let a little bit of space in there.
I'm going to challenge us to take it a step further. And when we, around the Trump administration, when we feel that ping of delight at their apparent failure, that we challenge ourselves to send a blessing.
Yeah. They need lots of blessings from my perspective. Yeah. Well, that's a wrap, ladies. And thank you, listeners, for joining us. We might have given you a little spark of something to do a little differently today. Because, we don't have all the answers. We don't know. We don't know what anything is for, actually. So keep listening. Maybe the next episode will even be more thought-provoking and open up another can of worms for us to put out and examine. Yeah. So because We're all transforming, and your transformation is our greatest joy. So keep at it. Keep at it. Keep coming back too.
Love you guys.
Bye.